Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Dr. Tony Chopper, and this is the fifth part of the review for the Master Grade Sazabi Ver. In this part, we're going to combine all these limbs together, and we're also going to see how they interact with things like the weapons and the accessories that we have to put on. If you guys missed any parts in the reviews, remember to click this playlist right here and be caught up. And if you missed the last part, it's right over here. Okay guys, we gotta get started. There's a lot to cover. Here he is, the Master Grade Sazabi Ver, when he's all put together and transformed. So I chose to put him in the transformed version because, honestly, you're not going to use the other one too much unless you're really, well, just look at it. It looks that much better, in my opinion. It's a lot more filled out. Now, a quick 360 of this guy on the turntable. First off, you notice just how massive he is. There's about 1 million different things you can look at on the kit. There's a billion different little silver parts that stick out. A lot of the gray parts stick out. Many moving panels. It just looks very complex. And the first thing you do notice, or the first thing you do feel after you do finish building him, is a sense of satisfaction. When he's all put together, you just kind of want to stare at it for a bit because you just put that much time, blood, sweat, and tears into making him, and he looks this amazing with all of his different reds that stick out very well. And overall, he just has that look. It's too hard to really explain to you guys, but he just looks amazing. Looks aside, we're going to look into the articulation a little bit, or the poseability in this guy. Hopefully it doesn't change too much. Now, in terms of the head, it can go up and down, and it can go side a little bit. Actually, it kind of gets stuck, in my opinion. So you're only going to get about like a 60-degree on each side, so be a little careful of that. In terms of the shoulder and the arms, it can go all the way back if you move the binder out of the way, and it goes up like that. The arm movement, it can go up quite a bit up until it touches the other parts here, and the rest of the arm is going to remain the same. In terms of having it pop out though, it can do that first off, and then reach across. If you angle it properly, he can actually pretty much touch his other shoulder, which is pretty impressive. In terms of waist articulation, this is a little bit strange and kind of loose. There's a whole bunch of weight on the upper body and the backpack, so he does get a little bit of, he's a little back heavy in that aspect. So that's it's not very good. He can actually, it's a little hard to show you guys, rotate quite far, pretty much a full 360 if you allow it to. Of course, some things are going to get in the way. There's just so much going on with him. It's a little overwhelming. Now, in terms of being able to move the leg forward, you can go up quite a bit up until that falls off, and it's actually holding that pose quite well right now. Nothing really happening there. He can't actually kick off to the side too much though, and that's mainly because of the design of the joint here. It's actually just a solid. It's a ball joint, really. You can't really kick out too far at all. A little disappointing, but he wasn't supposed to kick out that far anyways. In terms of the back here, he can go back quite a bit as well until he gets and hits that. Really, you're really not going to be doing that too much. At least I hope not. And yeah, the articulation on that's quite good. The articulation or poseability for this thing right here, nothing really changes on the backpack. The backpack doesn't really get in the way too much. The propellant tanks kind of get in the way a little bit in terms of moving it around, but other than that, you'll be fine. But the major issue right now is the waist connection right here with the ball joint. He does fall back quite a bit, and that's mainly because of the giant hunking section in the front, and we also have this really massive part in the back that's actually hindering him as well. So you gotta be a little bit careful if you want to pose the Sazabi. Now, before we continue with the rest of the review, I actually want to go ahead and put him on an action base, because he does seem so incredibly back heavy that this should be able to help him out with the rest of the review. So that's already kind of a knock against him. He can't really stay up without an action base. So it is awfully apparent that he is way too heavy for any normal action base. You're going to see really soon. I have him on an action base, and over time, he is going to drop down. Now, currently, I don't have the backpack on him, and I don't have things like the shield on him either, and he's already drooping. So you're going to want to get a very solid action base, or custom make your own, because he's not really going to do too well in terms of getting aerial. Yeah, not good at all. Now, currently, I gave up on trying to use the action base because the action base kept on falling down because of the sheer weight of the kit. Now, I have reverted to using the turntable to prop it up from the back side. So, one thing I can be 100% sure of is stability issues, weight issues are everywhere. Be very careful, and if you can't make your own custom base, you're going to want to cry. Now, in terms of putting the rifle weapons into his hands, so these two types of rifle weapons, you want to put it on the inside of his hand. So you want to actually turn the arm around a little bit and then put it in. It's going to be next to impossible to put it in directly this way, if you do want to do it that way, because of just how the stocks of the weapons are made, and also how big his arms are actually. They're really fat around that area, so you're going to want to put it on the inside. Alright, now after fighting with this guy for, forever, to put the rifle into his hand, I finally got it into the hand and arm. But we've already noticed that he kind of droops to the side due to that really loose waist. Incredibly bad. Stay away from that part. Now, another thing I want to point out is I really tried to put the beam shot rifle inside the hands. It worked up until a certain point, but this connection bit right here where it pops in is so freaking loose. Every time you want to put it in, it's going to fall apart. I suggest gluing this together or not using it. Now, moving on to the shield. Now, plugging in the shield's relatively easy. You take this part and you connect it to this part. After that, you line them up and snap them in. Now, the first thing you do notice with it, though, of course, being so incredibly good with his abdominal area, he's going to freaking droop over to the side. That can be expected with a shield this big, though. And, yeah. So far, I've noticed several things. He's flimsy, not sturdy, he falls apart very easily, has major weight issues. I haven't even gotten to the final grading process of this guy yet, and I can already tell you he will not get a good grade. Now, to put the shield onto the transformed area, it's a little different. This connection point is meant for him when he's not transformed. So to show you with transformation, first we gotta pull it off. I'm not going to transform that just yet. Next off, what you want to do is flip this up like that. And the next thing you're going to do is something incredibly crazy and probably won't work at all. They want you to go and clip this very small clip at the top to this very tiny itty bitty hole. Wish me luck. And after fighting with it for a while, you're going to have to get it in like that. Now, what I suggest you do to connect it in there is actually take the part off from the shield and then plug it in first, and then put it on there. So far, it looks decent in terms of staying up there. I do have the arm kind of moved out there as well. But I imagine over time that this would probably, be too heavy for that connection point and drag it all down. But so far, it's doing an okay job, though. So it turns out when you're putting in something like the beam saber or beam tomahawk parts, these things fit in the hands 10 times better than the mega long-ass rifle and the, what is it called, the beam shot rifle. My opinion, these things are very terribly designed in terms of how it's actually going to fit in the hand. The hands don't work very well. He's very stocky here. You want to avoid using these at almost all costs, unless you can actually manage to get it in there. Good luck, though. In terms of moving this around, he does an okay job, but as you can see, sometimes that weight is too much for this, the MP2s, the manipulators that is, and it will actually come out. So you gotta be a little bit careful, and if you just get it in at the very right angle, it'll be able to prop it up, but I'm kind of cheating by putting the end sticking there. So it seems like there's a lot of issues with this kit, and a part of me just feels like he might have been a little rushed. Alright, and with the beam saber in hand, he holds it up pretty well. Now I have him on the same side as the shield, so it is going to be a little bit difficult in terms of actually moving that thing around without everything getting in the way. But if we put it on the other hand, it will do just fine. It's a beam saber, he's a very sturdy kit in terms of just the arms, and he should be able to hold it up just fine, so don't worry about that. With the beam saber by itself, though, it does look very laughable in terms of using it for this size. It is from the Sinanju, and it looks very, very dinky compared to something as massive as this thing. And here's a quick size comparison with the Zaku 2 version 2.0, Char's custom, and he is quite a bit bigger. Now, even when I have him with his legs spread open, because I can't really get him to stand up straight, this is the best I can get him, and he's still pretty big in comparison, even with the horn and everything else. He's massive in comparison. So this is the beginning, or near the beginning of the Universal Century, in terms of mobile suit design, and this is near the end, where they got incredibly and ridiculously large. And here is another size comparison. We have him next to the Psycho Gundam. Now, as you can see, he is, he's a little bit shorter, and, well, that's because the Psycho Gundam is a freak in nature and incredibly tall. He took them steroids. But the Sazabi does look equally filled out, if not more so. And as we said before, or seen before, this shield actually looks pretty good on the Psycho Gundam. So, man, we got some really big guys here. To lose some weight. Alright, and for the size comparison that you've all been waiting for, him and his rival, we have the Master Grade New Gundam Ver with the basketball in hand, Char. Now, as you can see, first off, he is quite a bit bigger in terms of sheer size, width-wise as well. Even if I didn't actually open up the panels on him or anything with the transformation, he's still going to be very, very massive. And also on this side, we have the New Gundam. He is quite a bit shorter as well. In pretty much overall, he's just tinier than that massive monster of a beast. But we all know how the story ended, so I guess size doesn't matter. Alright guys, that concludes this part of the review with the deeper look. And in this deeper look, we found out a whole bunch of issues with this guy. He has problems pretty much everywhere, weight issues all over the place, weak joints, and overall not a very solid kit despite the incredible tight price tag. And be sure to come back in the next part, our finale, our conclusion, where I'll give you my final score. And so far it's not looking very good, but we'll be able to compare it to the New Gundam score, and you guys can decide for yourselves which one came out on top. Alright guys, my name is Dr. Tony Chopper, and I'll see you guys then. Peace out.